I live many lives for real. It made me a godhead. It's lost to this fight. That's why I'm so far ahead. So I dropped this message for you to get your light on track. Not your son push back. Numero one. Have all the fun you want, but make sure you get your self work done. Cause you the one. You hear me? Cause you the one. You hear me? Ain't nobody coming to save us. You hear me? You got to save yourself. You the one. You heard? It's weird out here, y'all. It's real weird out here. Learn from what you observe. And don't absorb all you observing. You hear me? Because even Dorothy pulled the curtain back and realized there was no wizard. Just a little man. You hear me? Only to discover or uncover that the source that she was looking for was in her and with her all the time. You hear me? The whole time. Somebody gonna catch that. Somebody gonna catch that. In the meantime, stillness, abundance, love, light, health, and wholeness. Stillness, abundance, love, light, health, and wholeness. Stillness and abundance, love, light, health, and wholeness. To the cosmic conscious family and soul tribe. Salute to the new subscribers. Welcome and welcome back. Welcome to the peekaboos and passerbys. You hear me? I hope everybody's feeling good for no reason at all. I just came through. It's been a couple of days. I just came through. You know. The drop a mind fart, you hear me? The drop a mind fart. Today is a new day, you hear me? I choose this day to be happy, you hear me? Like I choose every day, cause it is a choice for those that didn't catch it in the back. Every day is a new day, and every day you gotta make a choice for the day that you in, you hear me? Yeah. How has your imagination dwindled, or has your imagination dwindled or gotten stronger since you got here, since your arrival, since your birth, since your born day, you know, since your existence? Has your imagination dwindled or gotten stronger? And as I was contemplating on that, a lot of things started coming up. As kids, we grow up in ways that those who raised us never realized, unless it was made apparent to their own realization why they was here. You hear me? So that could be good, bad, or indifferent, depending upon how we was raised or our upbringings. And I say that because they tell us how to feel. You know, we told what to think. We told how to act. We told how to eat. We told how to behave. You hear me? We told what to believe until we learn to do it for ourselves. In most cases, by the time that we start doing it for ourselves, we're doing it based off what we was already pre-programmed to. If you don't listen, you're going to miss it. But until we learn to do it for ourselves, you know, and learn how we going to do it for ourselves, you know, gonna deal with a lot of unlearning that needs to be done. If you don't listen, you're gonna miss it. That's why 2 Timothy 2:15 say, study to show thyself approved as a workman, rightly dividing the word in truth. You know, whatever that word be for you, whether you Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, Hinduism, so forth and so on. You hear me? I go from there to go to this, or I said that to say this, or to ask this. How has growing up in a mainstream religion holistically added on to you? How has growing up in a mainstream religion impacted or affected you holistically? Holistically, you hear me? That's a very important question that we need to go within ourselves to be able to answer. You know, how has growing up in mainstream religion impacted or affected your relationship with yourself? How has growing up in mainstream religion impacted or affected your relationship with God or the source that you claim to believe in? How has growing up in mainstream religion impacted or affected the way you view the world? How has growing up in mainstream religion affected the way you view yourself? How has growing up in mainstream religion impacted or affected how how you how you embrace or adapt or attract or reject other people and their choices? You know, how has growing up in mainstream religion impacted or affected your confidence? You know, or your judgments? It depended on, you know, what side you want to be on. How has growing up in mainstream religion impacted or affected gender roles? How has it affected the relationships? How has it affected the mindsets? How has growing up in mainstream religion impacted or affected your lifestyle? Whatever your lifestyle may be, you know. What are some religion? What are some religious part self? What are some religious concepts that you have had to unlearn? And what was the process that you used to reprogram yourself or unlearn those concepts that was once accepted? What are some religious concepts that you have had to unlearn? And what was the process that you used to reprogram or unlearn those concepts? If you stripped away everything you was told you was, if you stripped away everything you was told about the world that you living in, who would you be then? And what would the world be to you? More so, how would you see then yourself and the world that you in? How did unlearning or reprogramming those concepts assist you on your spiritual journey as of this moment? Everybody ain't gonna be able to answer these questions. This ain't for everybody. You hear me? How did unlearning or reprogramming yourself and the systems that you was taught assist you on your spiritual journey? And let me ask that from on the other side of the coin. How did unlearning or reprogramming those concepts hinder you on your spiritual journey? If you on one, because everybody not on a spiritual journey. Most people still in a religious journey. You don't listen, you're gonna miss it. You hear me? As I said, this ain't for everybody. You heard? What are some practices that you chose to hold on to that has helped you or assisted you in your journey? You hear me? Because I don't participate. I'm not a paying dues member to any religious affiliation or organization, and God isn't either. You hear me? All that came from man. But how did, or what are some practices that you chose to hold on to that has helped you or assisted you in your journey? Because I still exercise a lot of things that I learned from different schools of thoughts. You know, whether it was Christian, 5%er, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, so forth and so on. I still use a lot of principles from a lot of different places, you know, to have the ability to forge my own path. You hear me? As I see myself in it in relation to what source is to me, and the people that I participate in this thing that we call life. What are some practices that you chose to hold on to that has helped you or assisted you on your journey? You hear me? What are some practices that you had to let go on your journey? You hear me? 'Cause what is your present relationship with religion? What is your present relationship with spirituality as a whole? What is your present relationship with religion slash spirituality as a whole? Whatever side you want, because I don't want to leave nobody out. That's not my intention. You hear me? How does your relationship with religion or spirituality impact or affect your relationship with yourself? How does your relationship with religion or spirituality impact your relationship with your family? How does your relationship with spirituality or religion affect your relationship with your associates? And why? And why? It get that's where it get ugly, beautiful, or beautifully ugly at. You hear me? And why? Because some people will be castrated or disconnected from, according to, going outside the family structure. You hear me? But somebody gotta do something that the rest of them ain't never did. You hear me? I'm proud to be the one. But are you? You hear me? How does your view of traditional or mainstream religion connect you with your view of what you participate in now? How does or how has your view of traditional or mainstream religion connected you with your view of what you participate in now? Or let me ask that from the other side of the coin, because we trying to get whole, and to get whole we got to get healed. You hear me? How has your view of traditional or mainstream religion disconnected you with your view of what you participate in now? Because it takes something to get us wherever we going. You hear me? And everything to get us where we going. We may not necessarily we may not necessarily need on the path of travels that where we're meant to go, where we're meant to we may not where we're meant to end up. You hear me? How does your view of traditional or mainstream religion connect you with your view of what you participate in now? You hear me? Are there any similarities or differences in your view of both? Are there any similarities or differences in your view of both? Whether you religious or you spiritual, are there any similarities in your view? Are there any similarities in your view? I ask these questions because it's important that our mind become our business. If your business is it pertaining to your mind, then your mind should become your business. And when your mind become your business, you'll find yourself too busy to be bothered with and by a lot of things that the world or the people in it get bothered by. You hear me? If not, learn how to mind your business. If not, learn how to learn from what you're observing in order to be able to mind your business. You hear me? Because it's a lot of precious elements. It's a lot of precious elements to be dug up. You hear me? I say that because it's a whole plethora of people. It's a whole lot of people who quote books, who quote teachings to draw us in. You hear me? From the preacher to the imam to everyday people that we see on the internet. You hear me? It's a whole plethora of people who quote books and teachers about this, that, and the other to draw us in. But their own life, their own life. When I say their own life, I mean the inner being, the inner and private, the inner and private life contradict their own teachings. If we know If we know personally half of the people that we may find ourselves listening to, we probably wouldn't listen to them no more. Let me just be the one to talk about it. You hear me? Cause this work is real. You hear me? It's easy to put on and appear to be that. and once people get to know you, come to find out that you're so far from that. You hear me? And what's so common about what I'm saying is because we already had the opportunity to learn this from the household through those that we came through. You hear me? But that's why I forged my own path. And you're gonna have to decide the same thing. Either you're gonna forge your own path from all you have learned according to what you have observed, or you're gonna follow the crowd because you're just still absorbing you know what you're observing, because you don't know how to do nothing. You don't know nothing else better to do. And until you do something different, you're gonna do what you always did. You hear me? And to do something that you never did, you're gonna have to do something that never been done. You know, in yourself and through your bloodline. You hear me? You know, it's easy to follow the crowd of popularity. Cause that's what we used to do. That's what we're used to doing. You hear me? We come into a world that the world that we come into is used to doing. You hear me? So I take honor in being able to forge my own path with all the lessons, you know, from the observations that I'm able to acquire by having this opportunity, you know, by being bestowed this thing called life, you know, to come into the fullness of being divine, or being a divine being, having a human experience. You hear me? Because everybody, you know, it's a bliss. It's a blessing. It's a blessing, you know, to come into the embodiment of your higher self in human form while you here. You hear me? And that take work. Whether you call it shadow work, self-fitness, or all the other, you know, words that we could use to sound good. You hear me? And that'll make us look good with, and you know, to those who don't really have the eye to see, you know, and the ear to hear, you know, from within. For those who don't really use their discernment, for those who don't really use their intuition, you know, and which we all have at different levels of it, you know, and it may and at the different levels that we have, you know, some may need to be developed more than others. You hear me? You know, so forth and so on. Yeah. And while I'm thinking about it, I'm listening to myself now. You know, I was having a conversation. Somebody said, "Yeah, Saul, you studied." I say, "Yeah, I inherited that, but it don't stop me from communicating." I say more so. And this was a Christian I was talking to. I say more so. Moses stuttered, but did it stop? But did it stop him from doing what the Bible say God put on his heart to do? You hear me? So here I am, y'all. Flaws and all. If that's how you want to see it. To me, it's a beautiful thing. You know, I love my studying. You hear me? But my pop stuttered, my granddad stuttered, you know, and I don't know who else stuttered before me. You hear me? And even I passed it on. You hear me? But yeah, it ain't allowed to be a handicap. It's a gift. You hear me? And I think it's something that adds a beautiful quality to my character. You know, I think it adds a beautiful quality to my character. You heard? Yeah. And speaking of that, character is important, integrity is important, love is important, kindness is important, and humility is important. You know, breath by breath, step by step, and piece by piece. But you're gonna have to figure that out for yourself. You know, like I said, I ain't come through to stay long. I just came through to be strong and encourage some strength, encourage and inspire some inspiration. You know, let motivation be the motive. You hear me? As always, continue to self improve. You know, command change over your life, and allow your actions, you know, to follow it accordingly. You hear me? It's an inside job. You hear me? Forget about the world of appearance. You hear me? It ain't about, you know, how you want other people to see you, you know, more so than how you see yourself. You hear me? And how you see yourself is how you gonna show up and show out, you know, in this world that we living in. Commitment, consistency, persistence. You know, we're not the topic of conversation that we used to be. You hear me? I'm gonna keep that in the universe. I am, I feel, I do, I love, I speak, I see, I know, and you do too. You hear me? Other than that, once again, stillness, abundance, love, light, health, and wholeness. Feel good for no reason at all. Today is the new day. You know, choose happiness. You hear me? Only you can. And until we do it again, be you how you be you. I'm known as Sawu. Peace, family. Love y'all.